Gently blink your eyes open, yogis. We'll do a warm-up for the wrists, ankles, shoulders, hips, and then for the spine. Just a little quick warm-up through the joints. Cross one ankle over the other and use your hand to manipulate your foot in a circle. So it's the ankle making a circle, but you're using your hand to do it. And then reverse that circle. As you're waking up your joints, you're still breathing mindfully, thinking about that straw, drawing breath from the pelvis. Take the blade edge of your hand, the pinky edge, and saw across the arch of your foot. You're generating heat from the friction, but you're also giving a massage to the plantar fascia. Go from the heel to the ball of your foot, and then a little rub and a rub of the ball of the foot and a stretch of your toes, maybe pushing them back, pulling them forward. And then a wiggle of the heel. You might also squeeze the Achilles tendon just a little bit. Then use your ankle muscles now that they're awake to draw a circle before you change legs. Crossing your other ankle over opposite knee, use your hand to do ankle circles. And reverse your circle. Still mindful of the breath. Blade edge of your hand. Vigorous sawing across the arch of your foot. Then use your hand to kind of knead the ball mount of your foot and stretch the toes backwards, forwards. Little wiggle of the heel. And a squeeze of the Achilles. We'll take care of our wrists once we come to standing. Lie onto your back. Take your right knee into your chest. Left leg extends long, heel rests on the floor. Breathe in and out. After your exhale, change legs. Right leg reaches long, left knee folds in. Enjoy another inhale and an exhale. Cross your arm, release your feet to the floor. Cross arms over each other. You're welcome to hug shoulders or just let the arms rest. Letting the weight of your arms stretch and open the backside of your shoulders. Breathe in and out. Mindfully breathing into the space between your shoulders. Open your arms and change which arm's on top. Cross again with the opposite arm on top. And you can let the arms be passive or you can actively hug yourself. And a little movement for our spine. Bring your hands to your knees. Inhale and exhale, lift your head, neck, and shoulders. So you're curled in like a little ball the energy gathered in toward your navel. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. Inhale, extend. Exhale, round. Inhale, reach. Exhale, round. Last two. And last one. Transitioning to standing, you can rock forward and back if that's available to you, or roll to the right side, pressing up to seated, and however is easiest for you to come to standing. We'll use the long edge of the mat. And the mat is secondary. You could actually do this off the mat. A couple of details about our sequence. We'll do 3 yang flows, warming up the body. There's less focus on physical alignment and how you're organizing the body, and I cue a lot of alignment details in a normal yoga class, but in a yin class, your focus is on energetic flow within the body and finding that however works for you, so you can make alignment choices that work. A detail about your feet: they're very mobile. You'll pivot on the heels of your feet, adjusting the rotation of your legs to lateral, external rotation, and back to parallel. And then we'll also do that on the balls of the feet, or the ball mounts of the feet, coming to lunges in our second sequence. So, before we get into that, that was the detail for the feet, a little detail for the hands. Rub your palms together, generating some heat through friction. As you're doing this, the knees are bent, hips are bent. You have this at the ready stance. I almost like to compare it to a volleyball player who's in a state of readiness. Then squeeze and stretch your fingers. Do it slowly. Do it quickly. Then vary tempo as you like. Squeezing slowly, extending quickly. Squeezing quickly, extending slowly. Awakening the muscles of your hands, but more importantly, in awakening the chakra of the palm. There's an energy center here in the palm of our hands. And in these sequences, we need access to that energy center, as that energy center pushes and pulls energy from the space around us, the invisible energy we can't see, we can feel when we breathe, but I'd like us to be able to feel the air around us with the palms of our hands. After you've squeezed and extended the fingers a few more times, bring your hands to the center of your pelvis. Fingers touching, a cavernous space between the palms. It's a little concave vacuum. Close your eyes and picture the energy between the palms of your hands. Perhaps that energy has a color today, or a blend of colors. Then move your awareness into your pelvis and picture that swirling vortex of energy in the pelvis. In Qi philosophy, we call the pelvis the low dantian, so I'll refer to that energy center here in the pelvis, a bowl of energy that you can slosh and move freely. We'll refer to that as the dantian. First sequence, here we go. Gather energy from the space around you, arms lift up. Rotate the legs out as you press. Fold forward. Pivot your feet forward once again. Turn right leg out. Open up left arm, twisting your spine. Exhale, close. Second side. Left toes out. Open the right arm. Close arm. Close leg. Palms up. Gather energy from the earth. Pull it into the dantian. Invert the palms and press the energy of your body upward to the sky. Dive forward, hinging from the hips, drinking bird. Drop your pelvis, horse. The hips are low as you sweep the torso and arms up. And dive forward again, drinking bird, reaching the crown of your head way forward. Palms down, gathering energy from the earth, unfurling the spine, filling the body all the way up, then pressing the energy back down to the dantian. Soften your lower unit so the joints of the legs are soft but ready. You may close your eyes and imagine the energy between your hands and in the pelvis. Round 2. Gather. Press. Fold. Right toes out. Rotate left. Close. Left toes out, rotate right. Close. Palms up, gather. Invert the palms, press to the sky. Dive. Drop the pelvis. Torso up, horse. Dive again. Palms down, gather. And press. Imagine the energy swirling in the pelvis. When I use the terms gather and press, I invite you to engage your imagination and feel that action, while it happens with your hands, is really an action coming from the center of your body. The navel gathers energy from the space and presses outward. Here we go, our third round. Gather and press. Fold. Right toes out, rotate left. Close. Left toes out, rotate right. Close. Palms up, gather. Invert the palms, press. Drinking bird, dive. Drop the pelvis, horse. Drinking bird, dive. Palms down, gather. And press. Toe heel your feet back underneath you. Fingers touching. Cavernous space between the palms of your hands. Close your eyes and imagine the energy of your hands. And imagine the energy of your hands reflecting the energy of your pelvis. And try to become aware of the energy swirling in the body, particularly in the low dantian. You might bend your knees a little bit. For me, that makes me more aware of the pelvic energy. When my legs are locked, there's stagnation in the energy flow. Second sequence, here we go. We'll go a little slower through the first time, and then the second two will move a little more briskly. Here, we take that ball of energy from the pelvis, and we extend it above head as we lift the right leg. Then bring the energy back into the pelvis as you step your right foot back, pivoting to the back wall. Press. Opposite arm is leg. Do that again. Pivot, gather, and press. Third time, gather, pivot, and press. Low retreat. Sweep the arms across the body. Torso is low. Second retreat, you circle right to left. High retreat. So your torso is up. Then step to the back of your mat, to the right foot. Options to step to two legs or step to one leg. Either way, the hands rise above with that ball of energy above head, and then you bring it down into the center. Here, in our second round, you can practice this with your fingers touching, or you can have a space between your hands, a filament of energy connecting the palms. Let's do the second side. Take the ball of energy above head, standing on your right leg. Step your left foot back. Gather and press. 1. Gather and press. 2. Gather and press. 3. Low retreat to your right, torso low. Circle left to right, high retreat. Step to the front of your mat on the left leg, one or two legs. Recover the energy into the body. So that was one sequence. Round 2. Extend up. Gather and press. Gather and press. Gather and press. Low retreat. High retreat. Step to the back of your mat on the right foot, one leg or two. Gather. Take a recovery breath, observing the swirl of energy in your body. Round 2, left leg lifts. Gather and press. Gather and press. Gather and press. Low retreat. High retreat. Step to your left foot, front of the mat. Recover, gather. A brief reminder before our third time through. Your hands are very active, engaging with the space. Take a moment before we do the second round and press the hands together. Feeling resistance, isometric resistance there, yeah? Then remove that and then create a similar type of resistance without pressing your hands. And so that push-pull energy that you're achieving as you gather and press, or that you're creating, is very active through your palms. Third round. Right leg lifts. Gather and press. Gather and press. Gather and press. Low retreat. High retreat. Step to the back of the mat. Recover. Recovery breath. Left side. Lift the left leg. Gather and press. Gather and press. Gather and press. Low retreat. High retreat. Step to the top of the mat. Gather. Close your eyes and visualize. Become more of the inner sensing rather than the outer sensing we often do with our eyes. The third sequence has the most relationship to yoga poses. There's a down dog, there's lunges, twists. If you're doing a variation where you're doing a hands-free practice, I'll quickly walk you through a hands-free version before we do the real version. The right leg lifts, and this time your arms can extend out. Then you reach that right foot back, option to float in a Tula Dandasana pose, or just step right to your lunge. And this can be on the ball of your foot, or on the sole of your foot. You reach the arms up, bringing your head above tail. You reach the crown forward. You do that again and pivot all the way around to the other side of the room. You reach down. You reach up, you reach down. From here, you lower that back knee or keep it lifted, yogi's choice. Bring your body up, take a big exhale. From here, you stand up on one leg, and this can be done in one step or two steps. 1, 2. Opposite hand to knee, you twist. Sorry, you can barely see me. You can extend the arm or not. Then you recover one more time, the arms come overhead, and then back to the center. We'll walk through that on the second side. That's the hands-free version. Left leg lifts. You float back to a lunge. Then you bring your torso up. Torso down. Fly around. Torso down. Torso up. Torso down. Dragon's breath. So you can keep that knee up or down. Inhale, unfurl the spine. Exhale, squeeze your back, open your hands, stick your tongue out. Then from here, shift your weight to the front foot as you stand up and twist. Stay here, opposite hand to knee, rotating the body. And then you recover, bring the arms above head, hands to heart, or hands to the dantian. That's the hands-free version. I invite you to do that. Or follow along with the more traditional sequence. Right leg lifts. Dragon lunge. Landing in a low dragon lunge. Lift your left arm. Close. Take your left leg back, three-leg dog. Step the left foot forward and fly around the world, coming from the front to the back of the mat, landing in a low lunge. Twist, opening up your right arm. Close. Right leg back, three-legged dog. Bring your right knee to nose and step your right foot under the body. Belly to the sky. And then close again, three-legged dog. Bring your right foot forward. Knee up or down. Dragon's breath. And exhale. Stand up. And recover. If you're doing the modification, you'll know the dragon's breath and the twist are in different order. But other than that, it's fairly similar. Second side. Left leg. Dragon lunge. Open your right wing. Close. Right leg, tail. Bring your right foot through. Fly around the world. Landing in a low dragon lunge. Open your left wing. Close. Open your left leg like a tail. Knee to nose and step the foot under. Belly of the beast. Close. One more time. Three-legged dog or left tail. And step it through for dragon's breath. Knee up or down. Unfurl your spine. Huge exhale. Stand up to 1 foot or 2. And gather. Round 2. Right leg. Dragon lunge. Left wing. Close. Left tail. Close. Fly around the world. Land in a dragon's lunge. Right wing. Close. Right tail. Knee to nose and under. Belly of the beast. Close. Right tail. Step forward. Dragon's lunge. Dragon's breath. Stand up. And gather. Left side. Dragon lunge. Right wing. Close. Right tail. Close. Fly around the world. Dragon lunge. Left wing. Close. Left tail. Under and across. Belly of the beast. Close. Left tail. Close. Dragon's breath. Stand up. And recover. Enjoy a breath. We have one more round through the height of our yang flow, getting the most swirl of energy. Here we are. Right leg. Dragon lunge. Left wing. Close. Left tail. Close. Fly. Landing in the lunge. Right wing. Close. Right tail. Under and across. Belly to sky. Close. Right tail. Dragon's breath. Big inhale. Big exhale, tongue out. Stand up. Reorganize. Left side. Dragon lunge. Right wing. Close. Right tail. Close. Fly around the world. Dragon lunge. Left wing. Close. Left tail. Under and across. Belly to sky. Close. Left tail. Last dragon's breath. Your biggest inhale. Biggest exhale. Stand up. Hands back to the Dantian. Soften your ankles, knees, and hips. The joints are soft, but the muscles are engaged and vibrantly spiraling. Close your eyes. And try to imagine the energetic pathways in your body. You might feel your pulse. That's one form of an energetic pathway. You might feel tingling or lightness in your fingers. If you need a sip of water, take one and find your props. A couple pillows at least, and maybe a blanket. We'll have a seat on the floor. If you're just joining today, the music we're listening to is offered by a colleague of mine at Western Michigan University, Carolyn Keeble, wonderful ethnomusicologist who's created this music and offered it for our classes. Her music is available on Bandcamp, and I believe this weekend all the proceeds from Bandcamp go directly to the artist. They're not taking a cut. So find Carolyn Keeble, Carolyn, and then Koebel, and support her work and other artists who have their work on Bandcamp. Our first pose is a spinal extending pose today. There's a couple different ways to set this up, depending on how many props and what types of props you have. You can lay, I would say, one pillow down and then another pillow the long way, so you have this ramp. Another way to set this up is with blocks, if you happen to have them laying around your room. You can put one block this way, the other block this way, and then do a similar ramp with the blocks. It's a little higher of an inclined plane. Then your two options here for your torso. You can be prone, face down. The hips are on the floor, and the spine is extending over the props. So if you just have pillows, this is a very gentle extension of the spine. If you have it on blocks, it's a little more intense. You can also do the inverse. You can do the supine extension of the spine. Again, the hips are on the floor, and you lay down on the bolster. You can also intensify this if you like by folding, if you have a bed pillow, fold it in half so you make something more like a log. That supports the center of your spine, your limbs. You can let your knees open to the side, or your legs can be long. Arms can be by the side. When you start to bring your arms out to a T or up to a Y shape, this becomes a little more intense. So I gave you many variations to consider as you set up your shape. One of the first tenets of the Yin part of our practice is when you choose the pose, or in this instance it was chosen for you, then you resolve to stay. So you take the moments it takes to set up the pose, and that's why I talk you through all those variations, and there's some wiggling that can happen. And then you find physical stillness, and that's the first step of resolving to stay. Then for me, the next step is the harder of the two. That's the mental staying. Steadfastness of mind. So as you're resolving to stay, I'll tell a short story of personal experience. When I come into a yoga practice like this, where you've joined me, we're wearing yoga clothes, we're on a mat, the asana part of the practice, the physical poses, they're highlighted in what I cue, they're highlighted in what we do. It is a practice for the body, and the body tends to come first. But what's often neglected for myself, for many, is that the practice of yoga, even an asana practice, is a mind, body, and spirit practice. So in the asana part of the practice, where the body is moving a lot and the body is primary, I'm able to be there. I'm able to be present in mind, body, and spirit. The physical part of it speaks to something in me that is pleasurable, and I can find a meditative quality or a flow-like state where I don't think about other things. I'm in somewhat of a zone. And you may have similar experiences. And then when I flip that switch and come to the yin part of a practice that's less flow-based in the physical body, my mind wants to do all the work that my body was doing. So I transpose the physical work to the mind, and I start to think a lot. And that might be true for you as well. So while you're here in this pose, you've committed to physical stillness, and part of that is letting go of those urges to wiggle and move that might be physical tendencies or habits from the mind. And then notice what your mind is doing. And while it feels productive, it feels like you're doing something, you're planning ahead, you're thinking, you're solving problems, you're doing. I have to remind myself that the undoing of the mind, the relaxing of the mind, is as important, more important than the doing of the mind. Someone said to me once, imagine that this is the most important thing you had to do today, laying in this pose, not thinking. That's the most important task you have to do all day today. Commit to 3 more breaths of laying here, not doing. as you prepare to come out of this shape, take a few moments to improvise movement. Some of my fellow yoga instructors call this intuitive movement. So the intuitive part is you're listening to the body, and whatever your body says to do, do it. And then you do it and it feels good, so you do it again. So you might find some repetitive motions that feel good in the body. They may not be yoga poses. Who knows what you're doing? And that's absolutely fine. When the body calls for movement, respond. And that's the art of improvisation, it's physical listening. Take a few more breaths, about another minute or so in this transition. Continue to improvise movement. Like this goofy movement of my wrist felt really good, so I'm going to keep doing it while I set up the next shape. The next shape is a twist. Take your props over to your left side. Your left leg is in front of the body. The left leg is kind of behind the body. The inner thigh of the left leg is up. Inner thigh of the right leg is down. So you have different shapes in your legs, but kind of mirror shapes in the legs. Rotate your torso toward the props and recline your body onto the props, and then set them up in a way that you feel supported. You're compressing the bottom hip quite deeply. So it feels like your top hip is heavy. Your top shoulder is also heavy. So the torso is squaring toward the floor. And when I use that verb, ing, squaring, you're in the process of moving towards squareness. But in that process, can you minimize the physical effort to get there? So that's the first step of finding the pose and then resolving to stay. You let the body relax, removing effort from the body, and letting gravity do the work for you. Again, another personal experience check-in. This one in particular, this compressed twist, I resolved to stay once, and then I resolved to stay in the mind. But then I check back in, then I might notice, and this happens almost every time, that I'm holding tension in a place that I didn't realize. I did that initial physical let go, but then sometimes it's maybe my hip. Let me see what's happening today for me. Actually, it was my left low abdomen. I had to let go of my iliopsoas and allow that place to soften. And then from there, I noticed that my right, kind of this back part of my rib cage, and I couldn't even identify what muscle it is, was holding on to something, and I had to just say, okay, allow, let go. And there's this kind of weird tension between letting go physically while also letting go mentally, but you're in this observational state of noticing that there may be tension existing in the body, and then you're able to let go of it. When you notice that point of tension and then dwell there maybe longer than you need to, you start to evaluate and say, oh, this tension's coming from this thing that I do, and then you create this whole narrative around that observation. You're all of a sudden stuck mentally in that physical tension. So now you've almost doubly increased the tension by observing it and judging it, creating a narrative around it. The act of observation, good friend Lisa Batsell really enjoys this image I share. It's like noticing or observing is like brushing a feather on a crystal glass. It's a very soft act. So notice the effort you put forth in noticing. Notice the effort in noticing. Notice what you notice. And see if you can have a very effortless sense of noticing. It's almost, to give you an image, if imagery works for you, it's almost as if you're in this limbo-like space where experiences, tension in the body, thoughts that are you're holding on to, they come to you and you notice them and you just gently, like an exhale, shoo them away, and you're left in that really clear limbo space of physical stillness, mental stillness, and spiritual stillness or spiritual quietude, contentment. We'll take just another breath on this side. Before gently bringing your body up, take a moment to improvise movement. I like this one, informally called Mermaid on the Beach. It's a little for the hips, a little for the low back. And since it's sunny out, it's a little for my mind and my spirit, imagining that I am on a beach, even though they're closed. I can imagine. And the mind's a powerful thing. Imagination can really take us places. Improvise movement a little bit more, and as you're ready, set up your second side. Moving the props over. The right foot is in front, inner thigh up. The left foot is behind, inner thigh down. Rotate your torso toward the props. I didn't mention on the first side, but if you look toward the knees, this is a little more accessible. If you turn your gaze away, it's considerably more intense. Set up the variation that works for you. And if you've resolved to stay physically once, and then mentally once, check in again physically and notice if there are areas of tension. And then check in mentally and notice if you've started to let your mind go down a thought train, or the thought train has taken your mind away, and gently bring it back. Like a feather on a glass, you notice your thinking had gone elsewhere and you come back. When I was first starting yoga, quieting my mind, and I empathize with everyone who says, I just can't tell my mind to be quiet. And this is so many of us, myself included. And this is, 2 days ago in my morning meditation. Couldn't quiet the chatter that day, and that's okay. That was okay that day. So quieting the mind is this really delicate thing, like brushing a feather on a crystal glass. The harder you try, the less you're able to do it. If you squeeze a crystal glass too hard, it will break. Similarly to quieting the mind, if you work too hard, you just become more and more spooled up in thought. And then, so the opposite of that is trying to think about nothing. Trying to empty the mind of thought. And it has this opposite effect. When you sort of shoo everything away, more things come in and fill that space. So in my yoga training, and I struggled with that, quieting the mind, and still do periodically. But in my yoga training, continuing my 500 hour in India, the Guru Krishna said, The mind can't sustain a vacuum. And what I had been trying to do was create this vacuum in clearing the mind where I'm trying to push all the thoughts out, and then that vacuum sort of sucks in all the thoughts and more thoughts and bad thoughts and everything, and the kitchen sink comes in with it into that vacuum that I've created in trying to make space. You're laying down, you can't see my air quotes. So, if the mind can't sustain a vacuum, what does the mind do when we're clearing space? And that's where single point of focus as a tool, a yoga tool, became a really important thing for me. And the breath as a single point of focus was essential. So when I put my mind to that very simple task of observing the breath, again, like a feather brushing a crystal glass, I notice my breath. Then I become engaged in the act of noticing, and I've created this liminal space, this, if for lack of better words, a white room where there's nothing, no walls, no landscape, and nothing comes in, no physical experiences, no thoughts. And then in that space, I have this awareness of my spiritual self. So notice if you're still striving for a mental vacuum, and use the breath as a point of focus. One more breath before we come out of this shape. Take a moment to improvise movement. You can take Mermaid on the Beach. We're nearing the end of our time together, so if there's another pose you'd like, whatever that is, you're welcome to do. And then find a version of Shavasana. You have pillows here. You might take the pillow and recline your spine on a pillow. You might take the pillows and place them under your knees. Take a few moments to lay down and allow your spine to be supported by the earth. Your three primary energy centers, the pelvis, the ribs, and your head, are all heavy. Once you've found your Shavasana position, a corpse shape on the floor, notice your physical body. Notice the mental body, your headspace. And then notice the spiritual body. The breath is a tool to help keep the mind steadfast and clear. I invite you to stay here in Shavasana for a few breaths before coming out and continuing on your day. Thank you for joining today on this beautiful Saturday. I hope it's beautiful where you are. I'm beginning to transition to a Zoom format for the Saturday classes, and I'm collaborating with a few other yogis in this as we prepare for what yoga looks like, live streaming over the summer, and how do we bring value back to the community. I'm really liking offering classes while we're in quarantine and people are off work. But as we start to get back to work, I want to bring value back to the community, and so other teachers that are offering classes, I want to help support them when they commoditize their classes so they can make money. We're going to transition to a Zoom format, so stay in contact so I can keep you connected. We'll do another month of, darn it. I just missed you, yogis, as I got cut off at my hour, but we'll do another month or so through May of live stream IG classes. So I invite you to join me here on IG on Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. We'll do yin classes through the month and then reevaluate in June, see how things are going, if people are getting back to work. We'll start to move to the Zoom format, so stay in touch. Take care.